to represent our country, but life for many veterans after their time in service comes with great challenge. Compared to civilians, military vets are at higher risk of developing addictions and other mental health problems. The men and women who face trauma often cope or self-medicate by abusing alcohol or other addictive substances. 20% of veterans with PTSD also have a substance use disorder. 63% of recent Afghanistan and Iraq veterans were diagnosed with substance use disorders, also met with the criteria for PTSD. They have both. 30% of veterans seeking addiction treatment also have PTSD or other co-occurring disorders. It truly is a race against time, right, to help them here. Veterans represented more than 20% of all U.S. suicides in 2014. A current average of 20 veterans die by suicide every single day. That's why a treatment court established here locally offers an oasis to help veterans combat these ongoing struggles in hopes of recovery.
We try to approach things different. We understand that with addictions, there's nothing as a finite line. Every person has a different path they need to travel. There's going to be things that they experience and do and have to overcome that's different from every other participant.
Yeah, so enter Veterans Treatment Court. It was founded by the Honorable Robert Russell in Buffalo, New York, back in January of 2008. The structure is similar to drug treatment and mental health courts. They involve cooperation and collaboration with court officials, community partners, and law enforcement. The goal here is to connect eligible veterans with benefits and treatment earned through military service. Such a court recently launched in Iredell County, becoming one of just a handful of counties in North Carolina to do so.
So Iredell is one of the highest veteran populations in the United States, according to the VA, and there's so many here, plus being also in the Carolinas, this is kind of where the opioid crisis started, and it impacts people, especially when they come back and they have PTSD and mental health issues. They want to self-medicate or they want to just drown out the voices in their head.
Kyle Going is the Veterans Treatment Court Coordinator for Iredell County. He recently sat down with WBTV's Claire Kopsky on the goodwill this treatment court hopes to accomplish. In part of Claire's report from WBTV News at 6 o'clock, we learned this is a personal matter for Kyle because he is a veteran himself.
I know a lot of people that have had mental health and substance abuse issues from the military, especially in the Navy.
He's in this courtroom to help.
I've known people that have died because of alcohol abuse. It's a good feeling to give back and see that there's a potential to make a difference in people's lives.
They're making a difference by making a different court process.
They may not want to get the treatment, and it's a rigorous program. I mean, they have to want to recover.
Sarah Kirkman is the district attorney in Iredell County. She's helped make the Veteran Treatment Court come to life.
The Veterans Treatment Court is a court that is about treatment instead of being an adversarial court.
A veteran's charges have to be nonviolent in order to qualify for the 2-year program. Things like drug charges, misdemeanors like larceny or breaking and entering, and some low-level felonies.
I just think we owe it to our veterans to give them the most tools that we can to help them to recover and to get on the pathway to success.
The veteran facing charges also has to agree to have a mentor during the whole treatment process.
They follow them, always checking in on them, phone call away. They come to them with court and making sure that they have someone to talk to.
Going said having the ear to listen has already helped one veteran who opened up about his lasting trauma from his combat years ago.
He's seen things, he's experienced loss, especially fighting for the country, and so now he's here and he may not understand why he has anger issues or depression and anxiety, but they're there because of what he's seen and done. And so he needs that little bit of extra help.
Claire Kopsky from earlier today. Now, the court's goal is to get to the root of what's leading to criminal behavior and provide the resources to stop that cycle. The success rate for veterans is between 80 and 90%. There is very little recidivism in this. Right now, the county can serve 20 veterans at a time and will grow as resources continue to become available. Those resources include mental health assessments, counseling, substance abuse treatment, and Veterans Affairs Services.
We have 2 participants right now. One of them was active Army overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he specifically mentioned the fact that he didn't understand why he made it back and others didn't. Kind of caught him off guard with a conversation we were having, and then he kind of realized what he was saying, and realizing that there's that thing in the back of your head constantly.
It's important for us as a community to give back to the veterans who have given so much for us.
That is true. And if you're a veteran in Iredell County who'd like to volunteer to mentor a convicted veteran through this process, the information to get connected is on the homepage of our website. Just head to WBTV.com and look for this story. Coming up next.